everybody, welcome to another episode of Radiorama, and I'm not sure how to start this episode. This might be probably will be a short episode. What the deal is that this is one of the sets that have been donated to our museum more recently. It is a Zenith 9S-232. It's a 9-tube console radio that has the adjustable beehive speaker baffle, and it's been worked on, and it was worked on last in 1995. And the reason I know that is because we know the person who worked on it. And around here in the Bay Area, there was one gentleman who was still working on radios and still had a repair shop in San Francisco. Up until recently, this gentleman repaired radios his entire life, and I believe lived to be 100, and was still active right to the very end. And I'm not sure if this is true or not, but one of the people at our museum who knew him said if he didn't have a radio to work on, he was not happy. And after he said that, I was like, I wish that I'd gotten to meet him and talk to him, because I feel the same way. And it's ridiculous, but I'm not even half that guy's age, but I feel the same. If I don't have a radio to work on, like, I'm not happy. And luckily, since I volunteer at a museum that has hundreds of them, that is not a problem. But I have a situation today where my wife has gone for the weekend, and so I have been given the green light to waste the entire day working on radios. And I can work on this, or I can work on a bunch of other radios that are sitting in the garage. And that includes something I finished last night, which is this large Telefunken Opus 7. Sounds amazing. Or this Nordmende. Or I could start working on this, which is also an unusual set. It's a Packard Bell with little doors. So many choices. But I think I'm going to focus on this. But I do know what's been done to it. Here's a repair sheet from 1995. It looks like 6F6, 6L7, 6F5, 6U5. And then there was 1,000 ohm and a 22K resistor placed. A 20, and then two 10 microfarad electrolytics, two dowel belts, a .22 microfarad cap, a bunch of other capacitors, new AC cord. Was charged $215.06 in 1995. So I think it was probably mostly overhauled. That sounds about right as far as the quantity of capacitors that I would expect to be in there. Now you're wondering probably where that knob in the top is. It's in my truck. It kept on falling off. I'm glad that this is one of those sets that doesn't have the tone organs on either side. Some of those are awful because the rotten rubber insulated wiring is crumbly in this era. As some of you who watch my channel know, I really like Zenith. I think they are fantastic, but this era is not amongst their best. Late 30s, early 40s. I think this is actually probably like a middle-ish 30s set, probably 37, 38-ish around there. They had some problems. One of the biggest quality control problems that Zenith had was they were putting 6X5s for the rectifiers in some of their sets, and that rectifier, when it shorted, would take the transformer with it. I'm lucky here in it that this doesn't have the 6X5. It has a 5Y4, which makes me think this is an earlier set. I know the people that collect these Zeniths are probably like smacking their faces, being, you idiot, you know what year it is. I don't know what year it is. I'm just guessing here. And since I have my phone that has the internet on it, I could easily find that out. But whatever. Looks like someone put a phono connection on it, which is good because these do sound great. They did get one thing right and some of their consoles from this era that they boom. They're absolutely amazing sounding. The grill cloth is not in great shape. Luckily, one of the members of our organization has a lot of new old stock grill cloth, so he's going to provide that later. But I need to take the chassis out. Whatever the dial belt was has broken in half. In fact, a piece of it fell out. He had put neoprene belts on it, but 30 years have passed and they rotted. This is a thing you can get at the hardware store. So anyhow, I'll shut up and take the chassis out and we'll look and see what this guy's work was, because I've never intentionally looked at a piece that he worked on, and I expect I'll probably see excellent work, because you don't work on radios for 100 years and not learn something about it. All right, here's the chassis out of the cabinet, and it's in pretty good shape. Looks like the original paint, hammer tone paint, looks good. Some truth time. Let's see what's going on under here. It looks like that indeed it's been excuse me, it's been rebuilt, but there's still 2 old capacitors in here. Those need to be replaced. That's fine. That probably means they're not critical. Both the belts are snapped. This has a motorized and manual tuning feature. Here's the motor. You can see the belt that goes here. That's gone. And then a belt fell out of this area. Here it is. So at least I have a belt that I could snap back together and get the size off of. So it's not 100% done, and it looks like that also, for some reason, the wiring to the phono input, which I think someone modified, that has been detached, and I want to add that back because these do sound good. There's not a lot of music on AM around here, and I'd rather someone use this to enjoy, not just to turn on occasionally to say, look, the radio works. Oh, here's a ball game for a few seconds, see? Versus, oh, we can listen to whatever music we have on our phones. I'll get into that in a minute, but first I want to make sure and replace both of those. And then maybe clean up the chassis a little bit. Well, I'm glad that I'm doing what I'm about to do. I thought, I want to make sure that the set works well. It'd be a lot easier. I just took the speaker out and put it on the bench. And when I took the baffle off, it's clear that the speakers got some damage. There's cracks and tears. Now I can fix that. That's not the end of the world. I'm just hoping the cone hasn't gone off center and it's gonna make a racket. I'm assuming it didn't, because I'm assuming after it got back from the repair it worked satisfactorily. Could just be that maybe it's been exposed to UV, or maybe someone stuck their finger through it over here. I'll find out more, but it's not great. Well, I wound up there were so many little cracks around the perimeter of this surround, and I know it looks terrible, but what I did is I used this super flexible clear product called Lexcel. It comes in a tube, or you can buy it in a caulking gun, but I buy it in the tube, and it stays flexible forever. And like some people will put paper glue on these cones on the surrounds. Like, you can't do that. You'll lose all of your bass reflex if you do that. So I hope that works, because it's not a regular ordinary speaker. It's got this whole thing going on. Now, I could replace it with something else if I really had to, but I'd rather keep the original. Collectors like that. They want to keep the beehive weird baffle system in place. But I'm going to set this out in the sun so it can cure. I want to show you all something. Sometimes people get confused about how to replace the belts in these things, and the thing is, this shaft, you just loosen a couple of screws and you can pull the whole thing out and put your new belt on. And that's a lot easier than what I used to do, which is try to cut the belt and glue it back together again. Alright, now we got new belts installed, so everything, crap, this is hard to film. Worst video ever, and I'm having crap fall around my head. Anyway, so the belts are now replaced. So we should see movement. There we go. These things are really cool looking. I love these a lot. Alright, so I've got a audio running through the set now. Whoops, wrong side. Where is it? There's the Bluetooth. I can turn that off too. See? Ta-da! That sounds pretty good, actually. Alright, well, I spent some quality time continuing to clean up and buff out all the scratches and stuff in the surface. And I think I've done a pretty good job here. Quoteth the Raven Nevermore. Anyway, that looks pretty good, I think. Of course, I'll have to replace the grill cloth. But what I'm going to do now, and I'm not sure if this is necessary, but I just want to do it, is I'm going to clean the original blue interior. That's like the idea of not refinishing any of this and just having it exactly the way it is. All of its warts and all. I was about to shove the chassis back in there when I realized this whole thing was loose. So I've raised it up a little bit. I'm going to put new glue in there. Push it back down and put the screws back in. I am just now getting back to this Zenith, and some things have happened. First of all, I got new grill fabric for it, and I'm about to iron it. And secondly, we decided to keep this radio for the museum because John was, I think, one of us. Someone told me recently that he wasn't happy unless he had a radio to work on, and I was like, man, I can relate. So yeah, he's definitely one of us. So, or you know, he lived a good long life and really enjoyed doing what he did for his entire life, and I'm envious of that. Like, I wish I had my own radio repair shop and I just repaired radios all day long, but that world doesn't really exist anymore. So I'm going to take this panel out, take the speaker off and take the panel out, and then recover it. But again, I'll need to iron that before I do so. Also, this is all good and stiffened up because I did spray it with a few coats of shellac and also re-glued this up here, so it's not as, you know, flopping and falling apart. Now it's a little more stable. Okay, so I cut the fabric, and what I did is I applied a thin layer of wood glue, and I know there's probably stuff you're supposed to use, but what I do is I use wood glue, make sure it's knocked down, let it sit for just a little bit so it gets all good and tacky as I remove these last few pieces of thread from the old grill cloth that I should have done before. And then you just want to lay the fabric on it flat. Alright folks, well, I got it all back together again, got the grill cloth on it and everything, and it is joined its other radio brethren here at our museum, and will become a permanent part of the collection. So y'all come out and see us over here in California someday. Let's see here, let's check out the motorized tuning feature. There we go. Alright, it works. I have it on Bluetooth right now. What I did is I put a double throw switch in the back here. Let me turn it down here. I'll put it on the switch up, antenna out, on distance, Right now it's on foreign broadcast. Let's put it on. All right, standard broadcast.
We have heard he is questionable to return to this game. He didn't come back in last series. We'll see if he comes back now, but the official word right now is questionable. Given that the influence on borrowing costs is important and does matter when it comes to the very constrained.
We're picking up the fan from downstairs. All right, flip it back to Bluetooth only. There we go. All right, everybody, thanks so much for watching this episode of Radiorama. Until the next time next time a radio comes across my workbench, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.